Welcome to our Backyard Brothers podcast. It is earlier than normal. It is 6:45 a.m. Colorado time. Uh, luckily for everyone else here, I am a very early riser. I've been up for about an hour and a half already. So um, um, that's not an invitation to start this even earlier. But anyway, we are talking NFL and we're doing week one overreactions. I'd like to be able to provide any kind of reaction to, um, if not every team, then most teams, if we can. But we're going to do this in a similar way that we did last week, and just kind of start from if anyone has an overreaction, because every reaction is an overreaction in week one. Uh, so, and let's talk about those. So, anyone want to start? I'm sure we all have reactions we want to go to.
I'll start off with the Bengals, the Browns and Bengals. I guess we knew, and you might have to jar my memory a little bit then, but I think we already knew that the Bengals offensive line wasn't great. It was a little bit improved, I think, from the year before, but it's not great, and we saw that quite a bit. I'm just surprised at how badly they lost to the Browns. I mean, I know that Myles Garrett has Joe Burrow's number basically, um, but what was it, 30 to no 24 to 3? That's just that really surprised me, and um, I mean, right away my overreaction is this Bengals team is in trouble, but that's my first overreaction. And then as I kind of think about it, like, well, they started off slow, I think, last couple of years, and so this is kind of normal for them per se. But I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts there? I was like, this team is in trouble if they're starting out this slowly, this badly against a Browns team that I guess we don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah, let me start by saying Joe Burrow is still recovering from what was it? A shoulder, elbow, something injury. I can't remember what it was. He didn't play at all in the preseason. A lot of big players don't, but he didn't play at all. And the Bengals offense, their coaching staff is pretty much anti preseason. Not a single one of that offense played a snap in the preseason, the starting offense. I think the rookies played a little bit, and anyone else, but they didn't play together until until that game. And I think it was expected maybe they start slowly, and it's also in the rain. It was really bad conditions of a game, um, and so I'm not too overly concerned for the Bengals. My overreaction would be over on the Browns, and because if you remember during our preview, I said I think this team could be good. It's a question of what's going to happen there, but I specifically called out the defense, and I think that defense can be really good, and they showed a lot. Obviously, in those conditions, the defense has the upper hand, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess just reacting. The idea of it's going to take you the first two, three, 4 games of a season to get in a groove. Um, that's it could be detrimental to a season. The Bengals haven't had that problem in the last couple of years, but it's just a dangerous thought. And so that's my overreaction to the Bengals. With the Browns, yeah, they did great. Their defense was great, but even in the terrible mud and rain, still put up 24 points. And so overreaction to the Browns is yeah, they could be good. This could be a high scoring offense.
In If I could take that overreaction and expound it a little bit, look at the three favorites in the AFC: the Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, all lost in week one, all three of them. And so what do we think about that? We already talked about the Chiefs a little bit last week. We just talked about the Bengals now. If we could move over to the Bills real quick and give my overreaction here. The problem is it's the exact same as last year. Josh Allen is just turnover prone. He had 4 turnovers on Monday night, and it was all on him. This was an overtime game that, if Josh Allen has one less turnover, the Bills win that game without going into overtime. And so the problem is that the problem from last year isn't fixed, and that immediately means that Bills are no longer the favorites if Josh Allen it can't fix that. So
Yeah, I would immediately say to the overreaction for the Bills is the Bills, like, the Jets had absolutely no business winning that game. They lost their MVP star play 3, right? And they had absolutely no business winning that game, but the Bills did just gave it to them. I saw some NFL memes saying that the Jets presented the game ball to Josh Allen, said thanks for the win, right? And that's how it was. Is the Jets had no business being part of that game, and the Bills gave it to them.
Yeah, my thought is, I remember, when we're doing a previews talking about it, and we were saying that we're expecting, or at least I think I said I expect that Josh Allen's going to have fixed, his issues with turnovers. That they've been to the postseason and lost so many times now that they should know all the mistakes to fix. And game one, I don't know what it was, if it was just the Jets defense pressuring him into throwing them, or what it was, but he just not making good decisions. And like you were saying, showing that that's not fixed, which poses a big problem. So if it was just a bad game, game one, really bad game one, then we'll see. Did he make those corrections, and you're just going to see him in game 2 and 3 and so on. But yeah, I would agree. I mean, my overreaction was, shoot, like they're not gonna. It's going to be the same fate, if not even getting as far as they have previously. So. And then I know we all talked on this now. I'll just go over to the Jets. It's almost incomprehensible to lose Aaron Rodgers so early, and just I don't know. It's just blows my mind. And with all respect to the organization and Jets fans, my first thought was that's the most Jets thing ever, is that they get an MVP, 4 MVP quarterback to completely change this organization, and he can't even make it to, what is it, like the 12th minute of the first quarter. And so it just sucks. Like I don't know if anyone's happy for them. Like that they're not going to be contenders. I think everyone just feels sad for this organization at this point. It's just sad. Like I was looking forward to seeing how good they'd be, but at this point, it's like, well, I mean, it's back on Zach Wilson. I guess we'll see if he gained any maturity or anything in the offseason with Aaron Rodgers. I guess we'll see. But at this point, that just sucks. I mean, what else can you say?
Continuing with the Jets for a second, because I saw some overreactions from people that showed Zach Wilson's quarterback rating from that game, which was in the better half of the league, from quarterbacks, and saying that, hey, maybe he's learned some things. And I'm watching that game, and he's doing the same things that he was doing last year, which means he runs like 15 yards. He gets the ball, and as soon as the pass rush comes, he runs 15 yards behind him and runs around and then throws it out of bounds. And it's not fixed. He won that game. He threw a touchdown pass. He didn't throw an interception. If he can learn to be a game manager and not a guy that runs around and throws the ball out of bounds or whatever, then maybe it can happen. But that defense and special teams are clearly good enough to win. It's if Zach Wilson can learn and have Aaron Rodgers as a good mentor.
So my
ahead.
overreaction, we could talk about the Cowboys and the Giants. So the Cowboys played probably the most perfect game that we saw this past week. Scored on a punt return, on a
Punt block, a
field goal block touchdown. The defense was fantastic. Interceptions galore, and the Giants scored exactly 0 points. So I guess first of all, my overreaction is I think the Cowboys are a really good team. I think that they have the potential to win the NFC, to be the best team in the NFC. That'd be my overreaction is Cowboys may be the best team in the NFC. My overreaction on the Giants is I don't think that they're going to be the worst team in the NFC. I think that this was just a really bad game, and they're going to be able to put it together and still be able to finish third in the NFC East, but also over 500.
Um, yeah, first, let me call out, Dustin, that I don't think that what you said is an overreaction for you because you already predicted the Cowboys to win the NFC. So, uh, I think this is for you. It's a validation point, more than anything, because yeah, they were the best team in the NFL last week, by far. 40-0. Their defense looked like it could be the best to ever play in the NFL last week. Obviously, there's 16 more games, and they're going to play different opponents, but their defense looked great. Their offense was okay, but their defense was great. And the Giants, for me, this was a validation because I said the Giants are going to lose the NFC East. They're going to finish last, and they looked uh, horrible in all phases. The Giants did, and Daniel Jones seemed to revert back to 20 2020 Daniel Jones, where he was not confident, throwing interceptions, fumbling the ball, and it all had to do with the fact that he had to come back to try to win the game, and when it's all on him, that's kind of thing that happens. So.
Yeah, my overreaction was going to be with the Giants. I think if I remember right, I think my prediction was that they were going to be a good team. They weren't going to win the division, but they were going to be a good team. And just seeing that happen, my first thought was Daniel Jones is just completely reversed. Uno reverse card. Just looked awful. I think he had 2 interceptions. And only what was it? I think 100 yards basically in passing. He just looked terrible. Um, and uh, and this was at home for the Giants too, and so it's really impressive for the Cowboys to come in and just dominate in every sense of that word, every side of the ball, um, and so my overreaction is well, the Giants are in for it now. They're gonna have a rough year. That was my overreaction seeing Daniel Jones play the way he did.
Um, um, for me, let's talk about the Vikings. Uh, uh, Dustin, I can't remember if you picked the Vikings or the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. One of the two. I can't remember which, but
Vikings.
you picked the Vikings. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's in trouble. Through 2 games, they've lost 7 fumbles. How do you lose 7 fumbles in 2 games? And one of them was out of the back of the end zone last night or Thursday night. Yeah, but it the Vikings are shooting themselves in the foot. They even while losing having 4 turnovers on Thursday night, they only lost by 1 score to the Eagles. So obviously the talent is there, but if they keep turning it over at this historic rate, there's no way that they can do anything. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's and I want to call it an overreaction, right? Because they have no problem moving the ball downfield. They just can't hold on to it, right? I mean, again, best receiver in the league fumbles it out of the back of the end zone, on the 1 yard line, and it's have no problem moving the ball, have no problem on offense, just can't hold on to the ball. And so, and we've seen 2 games for them, right? And so reacting to the Buccaneers again, I think the Buccaneers won as a gift from the Vikings.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Buccaneers could very well win their division based on the strength of their division, but I don't think that necessarily means that they're a playoff contender.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I just um I'm not even sure what kind of reaction I had there. I'm thinking more of the Bucks, honestly, in that first game with the Vikings. It almost seems like so Baker Mayfield, he was first, yeah, he was the first overall pick. Um, Comes out of Oklahoma, and he was basically the star. I need to save my team, but they're losing. I was impressed that he adjusted to become a game manager. And I feel like that was kind of interesting. He to see someone who has such a or had such a high ceiling and that kind of mentality is if my team's losing, I'll put the cape on and I'm going to win the game. And to see him adjust and realize like as of right now, I don't have that potential right now, and I need to earn my respect and reputation back. And so he was a game manager. And so I was honestly just impressed to see that, and they won the game because of that. And so that was impressive for me. And so I'm not sure if that's an overreaction or what it is, but that was just I was just impressed with Baker Mayfield, to be honest.
I wasn't impressed with the Buccaneers very much at all. I'm kind of on board with Dustin that the the Buccaneers they won that game because the Vikings turned it over 4 times or whatever it was, and the Buck I think the Bucks had like 90 yards of offense in the first half. It was a bad first half, and then at the very end of the first half, Baker threw a touchdown pass, and then uh, kind of from there just kind of took control and let the Vikings stumble their way to the rest of it. So I wasn't very impressed with the Bucks, but I was much less impressed with the Vikings. So yeah. Okay, what other ones do we have? Um,
So staying in that division, talking about the Falcons and the Panthers. So the Falcons played well, but again, I don't think either any of us are thinking the Panthers are going to be a great team, right? And so um, Falcons showed little bits of greatness, but I just don't see it happening again and again and again. With the ability to win the division. I want to get your thoughts on that. And then on the Panthers, I really liked Bryce Young's pocket presence. I really liked a lot of what he did. I didn't think he necessarily made some bad decisions, but he had a few rookie mistakes. And so overall, I was impressed with Bryce Young.
um, I I guess a couple thoughts on both of those. Bryce Young threw 2 rookie interceptions, as rookie as you can get, to the same guy. Jesse Bates picked him off twice, and it was one of those things where even in Madden you don't throw that pass. There's a guy crossing the middle, and there's a safety waiting on it, and Bryce Young threw the same pass. He was picked off probably on the same play on the same throw twice, right there, and you just don't make that throw, and it's a rookie mistake, and you'd think he wouldn't make that in college either, but probably the safety in college is a little slower. His receiver at Alabama is a little better. And maybe that's just the rookie mistake that he's making, because Jesse Bates is going to pick that off 10 times out of 10, uh, and he did it 2 out of 2 there. And so, for the most part, I agree that I liked Bryce Young's performance, but he's going to make those rookie mistakes, and he made those 2, and maybe those 2 ended up losing the game. On the Falcon side of it, I thought that running game was really really good. Tyler Algier was fantastic. He was the one that led that way, uh, and I will say that because he's on my fantasy team. But Algier had 2 touchdowns. Robinson had the other one, and I like what the Falcons look like. But like you said, Dustin, we have to wait till the Falcons play somebody that's going to win games this year to see if that's okay. So
Yeah, so I guess my reaction for that game is on the Falcons. My prediction, as you guys probably remember pretty clearly, is that the Falcons are going to win this division pretty easily. And I still hold that. I don't know if this is necessarily what's the word that you guys were using? A verifying game or whatever it was. But it just proved to me my thought about this team. You got Tyler Algier, who had over 1,000 yards last year. He had an excellent game this time. Bijan Robinson, who showed a lot of promise as well. Just in that first game, he looks really good as well. Desmond Ridder looks like a game manager who can, do what he needs to. He didn't throw any interceptions. He only threw 1 touchdown though, and just 115 yards. So nothing like star power or anything from him, but he looks like he's going to be able to manage the team. And that was my thought. Like this isn't a team that's going to be winning, you know, like the NFC or anything. But just seeing it, the how the team performed, especially in the running game, to me just kind of proved that, like, yep, I think this team's gonna be good. I agree, of course, that it's gonna have to be we'll see how they fare against. I mean, as of right now, maybe the Lions. Now let's see how they play against the Lions, in a couple of weeks. Possibly the Packers. That's one we could talk about too, and see how they fare against the Packers and things like that. So we'll just see how they do. But as of right now, I'm thinking that my predictions on point.
Yeah. Desmond Ritter has yet to throw an interception in the NFL. This is this was game number 5, and he hasn't thrown an interception yet, and so yeah, he doesn't throw the ball very much. Maybe that contributes, but yeah. So okay, other ones. Let me say, based on the 3 favorites in the AFC losing, my new favorite in the AFC is the Miami Dolphins. Uh, I I really liked that was a fun game. The Dolphins and Chargers went back and forth, 30 points each. Both of those teams look really good. Um, but if I'm going to really overreact and say that my big overreaction was the Miami Dolphins are my new favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But again, I'm recognizing that as an overreaction, and I don't think I actually think that, but just based on last week, can anyone stop that offense unless it's other than Tua getting hurt again? But yeah,
That was my original concern about this team. When we're talking about it, is how long is Tua going to be able to play? He's had 2 concussions last year, and so let's just go with the scenario that he's healthy all year long. Yeah, this team has. I don't know if they have a ceiling at that point. And my overreaction was Tyreek Hill might actually get close to 2,000 yards receiving. That was my reaction. He had what I think over 200 yards or something,
yeah.
and 2 touchdowns. So I know that because he was on my fantasy team, so that helped me a lot. But that was my overreaction, is that Tyreek Hill might reach 2,000 yards this year.
Good reactions. I think my only commentary on it is I think that Tua has quietly sneaked into being a top 5 quarterback in the league. That he's probably deserving of that ranking. They're great. And as you said, Chargers were not bad at all, right?
Yeah.
This was perhaps the best matched up game that there was, and so I'm excited to see the Chargers play again this week, and excited to see how good they are against a different opponent.
Okay. Cody, I know you're dreading this conversation, but
I knew it was coming.
the Seahawks were awful. Um, especially in that second half. I think that couples with the fact that the Rams were really good, especially rookie receiver, what's his name, Nakua, a BYU guy, stepping in for Cooper Kupp and getting 8 catches and 100 yards, and uh, so the Rams were really good, and the Seahawks were really not. But any other reactions to that?
Yeah, I want to put in my reaction that when I was watching that game, first half I was like, okay, not looking too good, but we'll be okay. And second half, I'm pulling. Well, I was gonna say pull my hair out. I don't have any hair anymore. But I was just scratching my skin off again. I don't know. But my reaction looking at the Rams is that because okay, I was thinking this is an easy game for the Seahawks. They're gonna come away with a win. That was my first thought. And I have to remember that these are NFL teams. Any given Sunday or whatever day you're playing, any NFL team can walk away with a win, and they played really really well. Matthew Stafford looked great, fully healthy as well, and Puka Nacua looks like he's going to be a promising receiver for them. So, and then my thought on Seattle for their defense especially was my first thought was, wow, their run defense has really stepped up. They're really good with the run defense. They have no pass defense at all. It was terrible. They had Swiss cheese. It might just be because they had Trey Brown playing at cornerback, which did not do very well at all. I know that Treacle Woolen did really good on his side. So I think they're just really excited to get Devin Witherspoon back and see if he can help lock it down. But even with him back, I mean, they gotta get to the quarterback first off. They had no sacks. They had no pressure on him. So if you're going to give Matthew Stafford or any quarterback really in the NFL 7 seconds to throw the ball, they're going to find anyone open. So that pass rush, that pass defense was one of the worst I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the only commentary I'll add is yeah, the Rams were good. And like you said, the Seahawks defense needs to improve, but their offense also just had no movement. They just didn't move the ball at all. Had what is it, one touchdown and a couple of field goals. Just couldn't move the ball. So yeah, they need to figure out offense. Geno Smith earned a top 100 rating this year, and he's got to live up to it.
Yeah. And the last thing is the Seahawks need to keep their cool and composure. Both DK Metcalf and Quandre Diggs had big unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. They're getting frustrated and knocking people on the ground, and like you got to keep your cool.
Yeah.
And,
and especially for those two guys, they're I guess you can call them veterans at this point, especially Diggs. But Metcalf has been in the league for 4 years or something now, 3 or 4 years. And at this point, I can see that as a rookie or a second year, you're kind of losing your cool, but you got to grow up. You seriously got to grow up at this point.
yeah. Staying in that division. So I know I'm a 49ers fan, and I know that all of us predicted the 49ers to go pretty far this season, all to win the NFC West. But to do what they did on offense against a really good defense in Pittsburgh was really impressive. They did really good on defense too. We expected the 49ers to be good on defense, but they just had no problem moving through a Steelers defense, scoring 30 points, and they looked really good. They're still my favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Brock Purdy he surprised me yet again. I keep expecting him to finally have the game where I'm like, yep, there it is. But no, he keeps having a good game. And yeah, they used McCaffrey really well. Right. They used him in both rush and pass game and used him really well. And yeah, it was a perfectly executed game plan and a great win.
Yeah, McCaffrey was a surgeon with that defense. He just sliced them all up and down that field, and it was amazing to see. And then of course Brock Purdy and connecting with Brandon Ayuk, it was very impressive. I was expecting. I think I had predicted the Steelers to win that game just because I expected that defense to show up. It was at home for the Steelers, and I was completely wrong in every aspect. So it was impressive for sure. And if they can keep that up, especially if they can stay healthy, um, they also don't have a ceiling.
And we talked about the Steelers in our preview, saying that this offense is in trouble, and because you need to score points to win. If a team has 30 points on the Steelers are not going to win. They just don't have an offense that can do that. And so, and that was true the whole way. Kenny Pickett was bad. That Steelers offense was bad, and so that defense needs to hold teams to under 20 points. I think for the Steelers offense to score enough points to win. But
I have one I want to throw in there real quick. I want to talk a little bit about the Packers. So I saw a couple of memes. It was the Steve Carell from The Office. No, God, no, God, no. That one about Jordan Love, being able to score and do what he did, like what Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre will do. And so I saw a lot of things like, do they really just get a third one in now, to have another 15, 16 years there? And he looked really good. He did look really good. But I'm not. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I'm not sure yet if I'm convinced that he's going to be the next, Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, the third QB in 40 years or something. I'm not sure what it is, 30 years. And so, but he did look really good, and if he can keep that up, then he could be.
my reaction is he was playing the Bears. Jordan Love just took over the lease to own the Bears from Aaron Rodgers. That's all that happened. In my yes, the Aaron Jones was fantastic. He was more of the guy that I was really impressed with, and he hurt his hamstring in that game. So I'm not at all impressed with the Packers other than Aaron Jones, and I'm just saying that Justin Fields needs to fix his stuff right now, or he's not going to have a job because the Bears were just as bad as they were last year.
Yeah, I agree actually with both you, Cody. I think Jordan Love was great. I thought he managed the game really well, and they obviously put up, 30 plus points. And then yeah, the Bears just, Justin Fields just didn't manage the game, right? It was still too much hero ball.
Yeah. Okay, are we missing any teams that we want to talk about in the last 5 minutes? Or have we hit them all? I guess we didn't hit the AFC South at all yet. And I will say that none of them look good except the Jaguars. The Jaguars were fantastic. No one else was any good at all. The Titans didn't even score a touchdown. They had 5 field goals and lost a game. And so they're the closest contender there. I think the Texans defense was good enough, but offense had nothing. So
Yep, I agree. That's the division I predict that the Texans are going to end up winning. And I don't have enough from game one to, I guess, have an overreaction that they're not. But that offense, I think that they need to figure that offense. The defense, in my opinion, was good, and I thought they were going to be great this year. They can still be better, but that offense for sure just got to figure it out. And if they do that, then I think that my prediction will hold up.
Yeah, I really like the Jaguars. I like what they did. Comeback win against the Colts. They're losing with 10 minutes left in the game and then score 2 touchdowns, in the last 10 minutes. And they're great. I'm really excited to see what the Jaguars do against the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs coming off of a really bad loss. I'm predicting a Jaguars win in that one. And so I really like the Jaguars. I think they can be great.
yeah. The only other team left that we didn't really talk about the Eagles. They're 2-0, but to me they haven't looked good, even though they've won two games. And the Saints won, and although it was an ugly game against the Titans. And the last one, we didn't talk about the Broncos or the Raiders. Broncos have the same problems last year. They can't score enough points. Uh, and the Raiders, I thought, looked Jimmy G looked great. The Raiders look good.
I have not really much commentary to add to that, honestly. That's kind of agree. I guess I was a little surprised with the Broncos' first outing. I do expect them to have a lot more scoring under Sean Payton. But then again, this is the first game. Kind of got the gears, got to get the gears kind of going, grease them up. So I think by week 3, if they're still around that 17, 18 points, then they got an issue on their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Eagles, I would then talk, who they played with the Patriots, right? The Patriots, my overreaction is that hey, that it was a close game by score, but it really wasn't a close game. I think the Eagles managed that. And Patriots got a few good scores in there, and I think the Eagles are just as good. Their defense is great. I really like the interception return from Big Play Slay. That was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved starting that game with the onside kick with the Broncos. I love that decision to start that. It started with it didn't work out, but I loved that call. Any other reactions we want to talk about in 2 minutes, or have we hit them all?
How about just in the last 2 minutes, let's talk about a rookie that's really stood out to us week 1. I think I'm not really sure I say that, and then I'm like, I guess Jordan Addison looks pretty good to me so far. He's able to help out that offense a lot, and it gives the Vikings an offense that the defense don't. Who do I cover? Hawkinson, Jefferson, Addison, and
Addison scored 2 touchdowns in 2
yeah,
games.
so he looks really good to me right now. So one that did not impress me as of right now was Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, it might have been his wrist, but Geno Smith also just couldn't get the ball to him really. So, but those are the two rookies I want to talk about.
The two or three that I would really mention. We've already mentioned Puka Nakua from the Rams, who looks really good on defense. Will Anderson looked really good for the Texans, and Jalen Carter has been dominant in 2 games for the Eagles defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's what I would mention was Jalen Carter with the Eagles, and the other one was Anthony Richardson. He was probably the only rookie quarterback that did not play bad. He did okay by losing, so I thought he did right. I was surprised.
Yep.
I agree.
All right. Well, that takes care of our week 1 overreactions. I'm not sure we have a plan in place for next week, but we'll talk about that throughout the week offline. And okay. Have a good week.